What exactly did Jimin reveal that made Jungkook immediately change his expression? This fact was hidden for too long. Now, everything is open. Are you ready to accept the truth? What do you do when the person closest to you keeps something so big and only admits it when you're already at a breaking point? Have you ever felt like your whole life went by without you knowing that there was a single piece of truth covered from your eyes? And what if the person who keeps it is not a stranger, but the best friend you have always defended in public, Jimin? That day, the camera lit up as usual. Solid schedule, solid script, professional smile. But no one expected that a sentence from Jimin would solve the tension that had long been hidden behind the scenes. Jungkook, who had been looking strong, flawless, finally lost his words. His reaction shocked everyone who watched it live as well as through replays. And the question is, what does Jimin really reveal? Before we dissect deeper into the events in that studio, let's pull back. The weeks before, there were many signs that went unnoticed by the public. Jimin looks more emotional in some training sessions. She was caught on camera wiping away tears backstage after a special choreography rehearsal for BTS's anniversary. Jungkook was also seen keeping a distance more than usual. Fans began to wonder, but no one dared to speculate too far. Until the end, the truth explodes itself. It all started in a casual interview. The topic is light, discussing solo plans, personal experiences, and the most memorable moments of 10 years together. When Jimin's turn was asked about the most difficult moment during being part of BTS, he was silent. His eyes glazed over. And in that silence, something like tangled threads began to unravel, one sentence after another. I kept something I should have said a long time ago. But I'm afraid, because I know this will change the way you see me. Including Jungkook. Studio hushed. Everyone looked at Jimin. Fixed camera recording. The staff fell silent. And Jungkook, who at first seemed relaxed, immediately sat up straight, as if his gut feeling had read the direction of the conversation. Jimin continued, I know about the letter. A letter from Jungkook's father. I knew that 2 years ago, and I never told you because I was afraid you'd leave. Suddenly cold. A senior editor who was in the room said that he could hear the bated breath of many of the crew. Jungkook looked at Jimin with mixed looks, surprised, confused, angry, and sad. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. He didn't even say a word in the first 3 minutes after the confession. What exactly is the content of the letter in question? Why did Jimin hide it? And how could the letter be the cause of the emotional tension between two of BTS's most often seen familiar members? It was a letter from Jungkook's biological father, who had not appeared in his life for a long time. The letter reveals that his father wants to meet, that there are other stories from Jungkook's family past that have never been revealed before. According to an internal source, who declined to be named, the letter was sent through the agency, but Jimin was the first to see it. Whether for emotional reasons or fear, Jimin chose to keep it. He did not know that the letter would lead to consequences of this magnitude. And when he finally did, it wasn't just Jungkook who was shocked. The entire fandom was shaken. Jungkook finally opened his voice 12 minutes after Jimin's confession. His voice was quiet, almost trembling. You know how much I look for it. How I want to know why he left us. And you know all that. But you didn't say anything. Jimin is down. He said, I'm afraid of losing you. Jungkook chuckled, not because it was funny, but because he didn't believe it. You didn't lose me, but you made me feel like I had no choice. And from that moment on, the situation changed dramatically. The camera still records, but the emotional atmosphere in the room cannot be masked. Even a veteran cameraman mentioned that the moment was one of the most honest and raw moments he had witnessed during his career in the entertainment world. After the incident, fans began to unpack the various past interactions between Jimin and Jungkook. Some clips that were previously considered funny are now viewed with a different point of view. Some said they saw signs that Jimin was harboring something: an overly long look, a restrained hug, an expression out of context. HYBE had issued a brief statement confirming that all forms of communication between members is a private matter, and they will not intervene unless it concerns professional issues. However, the fans did not stop there. Some demand transparency. Others asked for privacy for both. The most surprising came from Jungkook himself. 2 days after the incident, he made a 7-minute live broadcast. Only 7 minutes, but enough to make thousands of ARMY cry in the comments. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because all this time I thought we didn't have a secret. But it turns out, We're just good at hiding it. The sentence contains more wounds than screams. And from that, we know this is not just a trivial incident. It's an old wound that's been raised back to the surface point. 1 week later, a 23-minute video was uploaded on BTS official channel. The title is just one word, *closure star. In the video, Jimin and Jungkook sit side by side. There is no script. There is no moderator. Just the two of them. And the microphone? Jimin admitted everything. He explained how he had hoped the letter would never come, how he struggled not to look heavy while hiding something that big, how every time Jungkook talks about his family, he feels guilty but doesn't dare to open up. And Jungkook, while still visibly holding back his emotions, gave an astonishing response. I appreciate you for finally being brave. But I also need time. Because a fractured trust can't be immediately whole again. The video was closed with a long silence. No hugs. No fake laughter. Just honesty, tears, and two men trying to fix something that may never be the same again. Netizens' reactions were mixed. There are those who support Jimin, saying that he is an ordinary human being who is afraid of making mistakes. There were also those who defended Jungkook, saying that he deserved to be disappointed because he was cheated by the person he trusted the most. Others argue that it is precisely this moment that shows their true humanity, that behind the popularity and smiles of the cameras, there are fears, old wounds, and the need to be heard. And here we are now witnessing two best friends, two icons of the world, who are fighting not only with industrial pressure, but also with no less painful personal wounds. Will their relationship come back to normal? Or will this be the beginning of a slowly growing emotional distance? One thing's for sure, it all starts with a secret and ends with a reaction the world will never forget. Days after the closure video was released, the initially emotional discussion slowly turned into a heated debate that spilled in all directions. From the integrity of the relationship between BTS members, Jimin's decision, to the possibility that HYBE had known this secret from the beginning but chose to remain silent in order to maintain the balance of the group's image. Sharp comments began to flood social media. Some called Jimin a keeper of secrets who betrayed trust, while others accused Jungkook of being overly dramatic over a decision born out of fear. But it is precisely from this that layer after layer new ones begin to unfold. A former production staffer who used to work on BTS's in-house documentary project suddenly posted a series of tweets that shook the fandom world again. In his statement, he claimed that the letter from Jungkook's father was not only known to Jimin, but was also discussed internally by HYB's senior staff. In fact, according to his confession, the letter was considered as material in an emotional segment that was eventually canceled. He said there was a great fear within the agency that bringing up family conflicts will make Jungkook look vulnerable amid his image as a symbol of strength and determination. The tweet went viral in just 6 hours. The army broke into two major camps, one demanding total transparency from HYB, while the other called for a stop to the invasion of privacy and asked the public not to put pressure on the two idols. Unexpectedly, the next day, a screenshot of an internal email allegedly came from HYB's content management department. In the email, it was clearly written that the management of the narrative surrounding the Jungkook family must go through a double filter, including the approval of the director of external media. It is not yet possible to verify the authenticity of this email, but it has been enough to provoke public outrage and give rise to accusations that this conflict is not entirely pure, that there are scenarios that are prepared, detained, and then detonated at the right moment. In a private broadcast of a famous South Korean content creator discussing entertainment issues sharply, he said that this could be the first time BTS has actually shown cracks that can't be put back together. He even added that if there is an official decision on an individual hiatus, this could be the real reason, not just a solo project or conscription. This remark provoked a surge of reaction in the international community. Thousands of comments came from fans in Brazil, the United States, Japan, and even the Middle East. Some voiced concerns that BTS' internal relationships had crossed irreparable boundaries. Even more disturbing, one of the former lawyers who had handled the K-pop idol contract case commented in an interview on the radio. He said that if the letter was actually withheld by the agency and Jungkook was never informed, it could be categorized as a violation of personal information rights. This isn't just an emotional blunder from Jimin. It could involve a broader legal dimension. In fact, he said that if Jungkook wanted to, he had a strong basis to sue the parties who withheld his access to the information. Meanwhile, Jimin chose to remain silent. It does not make extended releases. He did not respond to any comments or posts. On the one hand, fans interpreted this as a form of responsibility, that he would rather accept all the accusations than ignite a bigger fire. However, on the other hand, Jimin's silence actually opened up more room for speculation. Jungkook himself finally uploaded a short message through the official community platform. The message contained only one sentence: "I am processing everything, and I beg for time." There is no name Jimin called. There is no clarification. Only sentences full of meaning and unfinished wounds are healed. But when all began to subside, the next surprise appeared. A behind-the-scenes video that was originally scheduled to air on the official YouTube channel was suddenly cancelled, without any explanation. The video, according to the previous schedule, shows the interaction between the members during the filming of their anniversary episode. Speculation flooded social media. Did the video show the moments before Jimin confessed? Or are there pieces that are too emotional and could lead to deeper controversy? One of the unofficial sources who claimed to have seen an early draft of the video said that there is a section where Jungkook and Jimin engage in a long conversation that appears tense, but with disguised voices. Although this statement has not been verified, the existence of these rumors is enough to make the video the most sought-after, forbidden item in the fandom community. Tensions were heightened when an opinion article appeared in the South Korean media that openly stated that BTS is now facing the most fragile point in their journey history. The article drew protests, but was also supported by a number of independent media circles who said that it was time for the public to know that even the perfect image of a global boy band cannot be separated from very human inner conflicts. Then what will happen next? Will there be a truly sincere reconciliation? Or will the public be given only temporary peace in order to quell the uproar? One thing's for sure. Trust is something that when cracked, can't just be taped back. It needs to be rebuilt from a completely honest foundation. And right now, both Jungkook and Jimin are standing on two sides of that wall of honesty, each with a wound and each with a choice, either to stay in place or to move through the pain to meet again in the middle. Do you believe that their friendship will recover? Or is this just the beginning of their journey? And just when everyone thought that the storm had subsided, a new shock appeared from the inside. This time much more controversial and no longer covered by management, even by the most loyal fan base. A snippet of the voice recording leaked to the public. The less than 2-minute recording features the conversation of two male voices, one believed to be HYB's senior manager, and the other strongly suspected to be a member of the internal digital content liaison staff. In the conversation, it was clear that one sentence created a new ember in the midst of unfinished anger. "Let Jimin carry the load. Jungkook is too vital to fall now." The sentence exploded like a bomb. One simple phrase that opens up a harsh reality. It is possible that this entire narrative, from a hidden letter, an emotional confession in front of the camera, to Jungkook's reaction, does not stand on a pure stage, but rather is laid out, arranged and sacrificed for the stability of the image and interests of the corporation. And if that's true, the question becomes much more painful. Since when did their emotional closeness become a negotiating tool for the parties behind the scenes? The public immediately highlighted the possibility that Jimin was actually used as a shield. Not only did he hide the letter for fear of losing Jungkook, but it could have been because he was asked or pressured not to reveal it. The pressure that comes from people who consider the value of an idol more important than the inner burden that he bears. And even more terrible, if this is true, Jimin has been silent all this time not because of guilt, but because he was not allowed to speak. Netizens began to redig old interviews, looking for patterns that might have been missed. One of the old videos from 2022, when Jimin was interviewed by the Japanese media himself, suddenly went viral again. In the video, he briefly stopped the conversation when asked about his role in the group if there were internal conflicts. With an awkward smile, he said, "Sometimes I have to keep things uncomfortable, for everyone's sake." That sentence, once considered a form of maturity, is now instead read as a signal of a much deeper structural stress. And just as the audience's emotions peaked, another shocking incident occurred. Jungkook's personal account in the online community suddenly deleted dozens of posts about his interactions with Jimin. Some of the old posts that featured the two of them moments of jokes, behind the scenes, or short comments full of warmth disappeared in one night. There is no official statement. There is no clarification. But the public knows. In the digital age, erasure is a statement. Silence is the loudest rejection a person can make without opening their mouth. Furthermore, rumors began to spread that Jungkook had asked to cancel two media schedule collaborations previously designed with Jimin. One of them is an international photo shoot project for a famous Italian brand, which is reported to have prepared two cover editions with the theme Dual Chemistry. The project was reportedly now canceled unilaterally by Jungkook's side, and Jimin's side was reportedly not given prior notice. In an industry of this magnitude, such a unilateral act is not just unusual. It is considered professional betrayal. Another internal source said that since the incident, communication between Jimin and Jungkook has only taken place through intermediaries. No more in-person meetings, no more joint training sessions. Even individual vocal exercises were scheduled so as not to see each other. This is no longer about ordinary misunderstandings or conflicts. This is a systemic rift from which there may already be no return. However, what is most provocative is not just their relationship, but the narrative that the media is starting to build, that Jimin may have been deliberately sacrificed because he was considered the most able to bear the burden of public opinion. That he, known for his compassionate and emotional character, is more easily managed to show a tearful expression, apologize, and endure the anger of fans, while Jungkook, who is now the international face of BTS and brand ambassador of various global projects worth millions of dollars, is considered not to be touched by mistakes, even if he is also part of the problem. And if it really is structural design, what remains of the value of honesty in an entertainment industry that has been hailed for the intimacy and interpersonal bonds of its members? Is all the closeness we see just an illusion for the sake of boosting the market? Are there tears on stage, hugs behind the scenes, just a piece of content neatly stitched together for public consumption? Anger began to spread, but not ordinary anger. This is the kind of anger that comes from feeling betrayed, not just by idols, but by the system that governs them. The comments across digital platforms turned into a heated debate that divided the community. On the one hand, there are those who defend Jimin desperately, calling him a silent hero who was silenced for the sake of commercial stability. On the other hand, some have accused Jungkook of starting to play the sympathy card and using his powers of silence to shape public opinion without taking responsibility publicly. However, from all this, one question continues to resonate in the minds of the public. Is everything we believe about BTS so far really real? Or have we fallen in love with a grand narrative created, controlled, and played out by invisible hands in control behind the scenes? Those of you reading this, who for years followed their every footstep, their every laugh and cry on stage, how do you feel now? Do you still believe in that closeness? Or are you starting to question everything, even what used to feel most sincere?